Her name is Traveler, and she comes from a long line of sojourners. She has set out on a journey through the little narrow gate in an attempt to reach home place. Traveler does not yet realize that her journey will take her to new heights of jubilation, but also bring experiences of desperation and hopelessness.
We're headed for the City of Dreams, of course. You'd better come with us.
Oh, the City of Dreams. That sounds nice. I wonder if that's where my compass will lead.
Compass? What compass do you have?
From the amazement of Long Look Mountain to the hesitation at the City of Rest and the Tinderlands, share with Traveler the journey. Le Voyage.
Hi, this is Sandi Patty, inviting you to join me and my special friends Bonnie Keene, Mark Lowry, and Dean Arvidson for a personal reminder of God's enduring love. Le Voyage.
Her name is Traveler, and she comes from a long line of sojourners. She has set out on a journey through the little narrow gate in an attempt to reach home place. Traveler does not yet realize that her journey will take her to new heights of jubilation, but also bring experiences of desperation and hopelessness. From the amazement of Long Look Mountain, through the forest of fears, to rest in the Tinderlands, Traveler's journey will change her life forever. Join Bonnie Keene, Mark Lowry, Dean Arvidson, Matt Baugher, Todd Chapman, Sissy Goff, and Sandi Patty for an unforgettable journey. Le Voyage. Le Voyage is brought to you by Word Records, Baptist Bookstores, and Word Publishing.
In a place not far from here, in a time close to our own, a baby girl was born. She came from a long line of seekers of truth, and she was given the name Traveler. Traveler lived and grew pretty much as little girls do, until the day it was time for her to set out on her journey of life. There was, in fact, a party in Traveler's honor that day. In the midst of the festivities, her father called Traveler into his study.
Well, my dear, you'll be going out on your own now. I trust you'll take everything your mother and I have said to heart. We want very much for you to follow in our footsteps.
Why, yes, Father.
Good girl.
The young Traveler answered confidently, for she had no reason to believe that her journey would lead anywhere other than where it was expected to, wherever that was. Traveler's father reached into his desk drawer and with a great show of ceremony, drew out an antique brass compass. It was large, about 6 inches across, and gleamed in the firelight.
This compass belonged to your grandmother and her father before her. She gave it to me many years ago. See that you take good care of it. Use it in your journey. And above all, preserve it for future generations. You see, this is the way of our family, seekers of truth.
Traveler took the compass from her father's hand. Brass knobs outlined the circumference. It was ornate and heavier than it looked. Her first thought was how much weight it would add to her pack. Immediately, she chastised herself for feeling ungrateful. Her wise father seemed to trust it, and it would surely be worth the extra weight to have a guide to point her way. Well, the very next day, Traveler readied her pack and set out on her journey. She left her father's house and started down a trail called Familiar. She passed all the familiar landmarks of her youth, the building in which she had been schooled, her grandmother's cottage, the little church where she sat and tried to stay awake each Sunday. By dusk that very day, she came to a crossroads. Familiar trail ended. Already, she must make a choice. Traveler took her compass from her pack, squinted up at the sky, looked down at the compass, and blithely chose the road to the left, marked New Beginnings.
I don't know where this journey will lead. I don't know where I'm going, but this is an adventure.
Soon, Traveler came to a roadside inn on New Beginnings Road. She decided to stop, for she was so tired and hungry. As she lay down for the night, the first stirrings of doubt tugged at Traveler's heart.
what if I didn't choose the right road? How will I know? Where will my life lead? Will I do the right thing? Am I even asking the right question?
Oh, she tossed for a time, pondering these things. Then as she turned over what seemed like the millionth time, a feeling of peace came over her like a warm blanket. She heard a small voice that seemed to come from her heart. "Journey, and you will find," it said. And Traveler was able to sleep. In the morning, Traveler was surprised to find many other travelers getting ready to set out from the inn. They chatted over their breakfast about where they had been and where they were going. From what she overheard, many of them had been on the road far longer than she had. As she was pondering this new experience, a young man approached Traveler.
Hi, my name is Challenger. I belong to the family of any man. You look fresh, as if you haven't been traveling very far or long.
Traveler wasn't at all sure she should talk with this stranger, but remembering her manners, she introduced herself.
My name is Traveler.
Traveler? But you haven't been traveling long, have you?
No, but why do you ask?
There was something about Challenger that compelled Traveler to answer his question.
Well, I thought you might like to join my group. We will be leaving soon. We want to journey far today. We have no desire to become one of those.
And so saying, he pointed to a group of people lounging in the corner. They sat with their feet up on a table. Some of them read, some of them dozed, some just stared up at the ceiling.
They look as if they might have been there a while.
They have. They're called the passers-by.
And why are they called that?
They have stopped following their heart's desire. They're not really living. If a traveler doesn't follow the call of his heart, then he has ceased to travel.
Well, going back to your question, I do not yet know where I travel. I am seeking to find my way. So I don't know if I should go with you. Where is your group heading?
Traveler was beginning to think Challenger wouldn't be such a bad companion.
Why, you poor thing. We're headed for the City of Dreams, of course. You'd better come with
Oh,
us.
the City of Dreams. That sounds nice. I wonder if that's where my compass will lead.
Compass? What compass do you have?
Why, the compass handed down from my father and his mother before him. I am from the Seekers of Truth.
Then you must come with us.
Challenger waved his arms, beckoning to his group.
Come over here. Meet Traveler from the Seekers of Truth. She has one of those compasses we've been hearing about. I've asked her to join us.
Join us, please do.
We wanted to meet someone like you.
So it was settled. Traveler left the inn on New Beginnings Road with Challenger and his group. They traveled together for some time, always striving to find their way. Sometimes they traveled in silence, sometimes in laughter. Sometimes they argued about the meaning of their journey, and quite honestly, sometimes the road just seemed long. They were tired and cried in frustration, but they stayed together because even uncertainty can bring about a sort of camaraderie. Quite often they met passers-by in an inn or even sitting by the side of the road. Seeing these lost souls always spurred them on. We're not like those people, they said. Life won't pass us by. We'll keep moving until we find our City of Dreams. One beautiful spring day, Traveler sat lost in thought as they rested along the road of uncertainty, puzzling about how little she really knew about her fellow pilgrims, when a cranky shout broke into her reverie.
All right, let's pick up the pace, folks. We gotta get off this road. Have you forgotten the purpose of our trip?
How can we forget? You're telling us.
The others answered as one, but Traveler said nothing.
We must reach the City of Dreams.
Yes, we have only ourselves to rely on.
So let's get on with it. We won't get anywhere by hanging around here in the present.
You're right. We must always look to tomorrow, for in some tomorrow, we'll find our City of Dreams.
Traveler remained silent. She had heard Challenger say more than once that the present moment was of no consequence, but she had never been able to accept his philosophy. Besides, another question had been nagging at her lately.
Why are we so set on going to the City of Dreams when none of us knows where it is or what we'll find there?
Nevertheless, she journeyed on with the group. The shadows grew longer and longer on the road of uncertainty. The pilgrims began to trip over roots of the know-nothing trees in the growing darkness. The road narrowed and seemed almost to end. Challenger wasn't any surer than anyone else about where they were, but he aimed to find out.
Traveler, we're off course, and it's your fault. The map indicates a fork in the road that we missed. Your compass led us to this place.
That's not entirely true.
Never mind that. Check your wretched compass. It's your job to get us out of here. Does that thing work or not?
Well, yes, but...
I'm waiting. Are you going to continue to let others bear the burden of the success of this journey? Or are you going to tell us where to go?
Well, this appears to be the right way. At least that's what my compass says. But my heart says that if we rest until morning, the map will be clearer, and we will be able to see our way.
Oh, you're shirking your responsibility again, traveler. Fine, you go ahead and stay here. The rest of us are going to retrace our steps until we find that fork. We must have missed it.
That's right, stupid compass.
The group did indeed go with Challenger, leaving Traveler sitting by the side of the road. She looked around to see if she were truly alone. It wasn't as if she hadn't made friends along her journey. She had, both in the group she traveled with and with others whose paths crossed theirs.
The trouble is that all the others seem so sure of themselves. They don't have the same questions as I do about where we're going or why we're even on this trip. They just keep going. I feel like I don't have any friends to share my deepest feelings with. And when you can't share your innermost feelings, you don't really have friends.
Having thought that, Traveler jumped up. She couldn't stay here alone. She was already talking to herself. That wouldn't do. But she sank down again, indecisive and confused.
No, there must be another journey. I don't want to go to the City of Dreams. There has to be another path to follow.
There is.
Who's there? Who are you?
One who has come to say there's another path. I've come to tell you the beckoning in your heart is true. I am called Companion.
And you say that I will find my way? The others have already left to find the road to the City of Dreams. I too want to find my heart's desire, but I don't think I can catch up with them.
Traveler was beginning to feel alone again, despite the friendly voice of her as yet unseen companion.
You can only embark on your own journey. You were right to wonder about the direction. You cannot travel others' paths. They must find their own, and so must you.
Oh, no. And I've wasted all this time wandering around with Challenger's group. When will my journey begin?
Oh, my dear, it has already begun. It began the day you left your father's house. That moment, the moment your heart's beckoning became so great that you had to go, that's when your journey began.
You mean I haven't wasted all this time?
Traveler found that a bit difficult to believe, since here she was lost on the road of uncertainty.
No, little one, you have not. You chose not to follow the others just now, and in doing so, your feet found the narrow path. Look closely, traveler.
How do you know my name?
I've always known it. Now look, and tell me what you see.
Traveler squinted down at their feet.
I think my eyes are playing tricks on me. Sometimes I see a path, and then it just disappears.
That's perfectly normal in the beginning. Your eyes are becoming new. Be patient. Trust them, and look ahead. What do you see?
The path seems to lead up that little hill. I can't quite... yes, I see it. There's a very small gate.
As she said these words, she noticed that dawn had come. She and Companion must have talked the night away, yet it didn't seem like such a long time.
Your heart does not deceive you, traveler. Now tell me, what else do you see?
Well, I can't quite see it, but my heart seems to tell me that this little narrow gate leads to great things.
Ah, yes. Traveler sees more than she thinks she does.
Traveler hadn't felt this excited even on that very first day when she left her father's house. Something powerful was happening.
But can I trust this? After all, the last I knew, I was on the road of uncertainty. I've been disappointed so many times and shed so many tears. And Challenger and the others just left me alone. How do I know this one won't as well?
Traveler, I won't abandon you.
How do you do that? You seem to know what I'm thinking.
I do. And right now you're wondering whether you should go through the gate. I ask you what you choose. Do you choose to follow the path your heart and eyes see and go through the gate?
I do want to go, Companion. I am called. My heart must answer.
With that, she began to run toward the gate. She ran a ways before she thought about Companion. Just as she turned to look for him, he appeared at her side.
Where do you come from, companion? And where are you going?
I come from the home place, the place where hearts find their home. As to where I'm going, well,
Oh, dear companion, do come with me.
I was hoping you would ask.
Traveler realized for the first time since the others left that maybe she wouldn't have to journey entirely alone. And so they went through the gate, first Traveler and then Companion, who made a point of leaving the gate open. Traveler noticed immediately.
Shouldn't we close it?
My father will take care of that.
There's a little narrow gate at the top of the hill, and it beckons my heart to enter in and follow where it will. And the path that leads through this gate of dreams takes me away. With the wind at my back, the journey before me, I set my feet on the road that leads to life, and take the hand of the one who'll be my companion. For he will show me the place to begin. It's through the little narrow gate at the top of the hill, and it beckons my heart to enter and follow where it will. And the path that leads through this gate of dreams takes me
We'll return for more of Le Voyage after these messages.
Sandi Patty, Le Voyage, an inspiring chronicle of our journey of faith.
My heart breaking up inside me.
Intimate, honest,
How could anyone feel so alone?
a story of hurts and healing, of trials and triumphs.
And if you're cold, home base burns with flames of love.
Sandi Patty, Le Voyage.
Take it longer,
Le Voyage, it's everyone's journey.
hard climb that takes a long time.
Sandi Patty, Le Voyage, an album you'll live. Available everywhere from Word Epic Records. And pick up the Le Voyage companion story from Word Publishing.
There's a hand on my shoulder.
If you've been touched by the words and music of Sandi Patty's Le Voyage, here's a special invitation from Baptist Bookstores and Lifeway Christian Stores. Now for a limited time, Baptist Bookstores and Lifeway Christian Stores is offering a 20% discount on all Le Voyage materials. That's 20% off the Le Voyage CD, cassette, book, and video. To take advantage of this offer, just come into your nearest Baptist bookstore or Lifeway Christian store. Or even easier, call our toll-free number 1-800-233-1123. That number again is 1-800-233-1123. And don't forget to ask about your other favorite Christian artist titles. Join Sandi Patty on her Le Voyage. Call 1-800-233-1123. From Baptist Bookstores and Lifeway Christian stores. For Christian music, this is the place.
Before the album, before the video, there was the story. Le Voyage. This intimate and inspiring tale chronicles one traveler's triumphant journey of faith and captures the essence of everyone's walk with Christ. In search of the home place, traveler must overcome fear, questioning, and pain. Her constant guide, companion, accompanies her throughout the journey, offering comfort and direction each step of the way. Share with traveler the frightening walk through her personal fears, the soothing balms of the Tenderlands, and her necessary ascent up the last great mountain. Le Voyage is a personal reminder of God's enduring love, penned along the path of righteousness. You haven't truly experienced Le Voyage until you've read it. Le Voyage, the novel, new from Sandi Patty and Word Publishing, available wherever Christian books are sold.
We now return to Le Voyage, featuring Sandi Patty.
And so they went on. Traveler couldn't believe the beauty of her surroundings. Everything looked so clean, so fresh. Her heart overflowed, and exhilaration beyond words swept over her.
The sky! Companion, do look at the sky! Never before has it been so blue. Look at those trees, how green, and those birds, how they fly together in perfect formation. Why, I'm speechless.
Oh, you don't sound speechless, dear little traveler. Look behind you.
Oh, companion, why, that's where I came from, down in that valley. I can see it from here, the road of uncertainty and New Beginnings Road and even Familiar Trail. Everything was so murky and overwhelming down there. But up here, how clear the air is. Oh, see how well-defined the path is.
Companion remained quiet for a long time. No matter how many times he'd seen it, there was nothing quite like the feeling he had when someone got her first taste of Longlook Mountain, seeing all of life's abundant joys so clearly. There was the sky of beauty, the warm sun of love, and the harmony of all God's creatures. He watched and listened in satisfaction as Traveler saw and named all these things and more. He only spoke to answer her unspoken question.
No, this is not the end, but only the beginning. You must leave this mountain to continue your journey. And once you leave, the things you see now and the feelings you feel now will begin to grow dim unless you make a conscious choice to remember them. Think on these things daily, traveler. They will help you in times to come.
Traveler heard most of Companion's words, but to be honest, it was hard for her to imagine not remembering this place where she felt so good.
How could I forget something this clear?
And then another thought came to her. She reached into her pack. Yes, it was still there.
If I do get lost on this path, I still have my compass.
But it never occurred to Traveler to wonder why her compass hadn't led her to Longlook Mountain.
I can hardly believe my feet have brought me this far, to the top of a mountain at the edge of the stars. And I know there's a reason God has shown me this place, to see with new vision the journey I face. I'm a river that reaches through the distance below, winding through choices and the way I must go.
The journey continues in a moment.
Before the album, before the video, there was the story, Le Voyage. This intimate and inspiring tale chronicles one traveler's triumphant journey of faith and captures the essence of everyone's walk with Christ. In search of the home place, traveler must overcome fear, questioning, and pain. Her constant guide, companion, accompanies her throughout the journey, offering comfort and direction each step of the way. Share with traveler the frightening walk through her personal fears, the soothing balms of the Tenderlands, and her necessary ascent up the last great mountain. Le Voyage is a personal reminder of God's enduring love, penned along the path of righteousness. You haven't truly experienced Le Voyage until you've read it. Le Voyage, the novel, new from Sandi Patty and Word Publishing, available wherever Christian books are sold.
Sandi Patty, Le Voyage, an inspiring chronicle of our journey of faith.
My heart breaking up inside me.
Intimate, honest,
How could anyone feel so alone?
a story of hurts and healing, of trials and triumphs.
And if you're cold, home makes burn the flames of love.
Sandi Patty, Le Voyage. Le Voyage, it's everyone's journey. Sandi Patty, Le Voyage, an album you'll live. Available everywhere from Word Epic Records. And pick up the Le Voyage companion story from Word Publishing.
There's a hand on my shoulder.
If you've been touched by the words and music of Sandi Patty's Le Voyage, here's a special invitation from Baptist Bookstores and Lifeway Christian Stores. Now for a limited time, Baptist Bookstores and Lifeway Christian Stores is offering a 20% discount on all Le Voyage materials. That's 20% off the Le Voyage CD, cassette, book, and video. To take advantage of this offer, just come into your nearest Baptist bookstore or Lifeway Christian store. Or even easier, call our toll-free number 1-800-233-1123. That number again is 1-800-233-1123. And don't forget to ask about your other favorite Christian artist titles. Join Sandi Patty on her Le Voyage. Call 1-800-233-1123 from Baptist Bookstores and Lifeway Christian Stores. For Christian music, this is the place.
In the wind.
We now return to Le Voyage, featuring Dean Arvidson and Bonnie Keene.
Now traveler journeyed in earnest. With clear eyes and heart, with strong feet and resolve, she walked and sometimes ran toward her future. Days passed, some tougher than others, but still she followed the narrow path. It was always there. She wasn't sure what compelled her to keep going. She met other pilgrims, but she refused to join their groups. She explained to them, "I must make my own choices. I wish you a good and safe journey, and I pray that you wish the same for me." Traveler felt good about the direction of her life. She had met a kind and understanding companion who seemed to know her like no one ever had before. She certainly would not become a passerby. In fact, she scarcely saw them anymore. Then one day, when the sun barely shone through the mist and the narrow path was hard to see, once again she began asking questions and analyzing her progress.
Where am I? Why is it growing dark? Am I making progress? And if I have a companion, where is he? I haven't seen him for ages.
Traveler stopped, realizing that she had wandered away from companion. She was in fact at a crossroads. She checked her trusty compass, but the needle just flopped back and forth. It didn't seem to be working properly. Then she looked up at the sign.
Maybe I should take that way, the road of good intentions. But where is companion?
Just then he appeared. He had been right behind her on the path, of course, letting her lead the way.
Hurry up, Companion. Why can't you keep up? I don't have all life, you know.
Companion just nodded. Traveler felt even more irritated.
I'm going this way, along the road of good intentions, and you can't stop me. Oh, why am I so irritated with Companion? Perhaps I better sit down and rest before I veer off the narrow path. But much has happened so fast. Yes, that's what I should do.
Unfortunately, as she rested, she talked herself into taking the road of good intentions after all. Her reasoning went something like this.
Companion said I must make choices, and I know that I must. So if I have the intention of doing good and following my heart's true desire, then it stands to reason that I should go down the road of good intentions.
Having convinced herself, and without a further thought to Companion, she did just that. And lo and behold, as she walked, the day grew a bit brighter, but not sunshiny bright like on Longlook Mountain, but more like an artificial light. The traveler didn't care. She could see, and so she walked on. As she walked, she became hungry. And just as she became conscious of her hunger, she saw a bush by the side of the road. Its bright red berries beckoned to her. "Eat of me," they seemed to say. "I am here for you." And so she ate. After she ate, she began to think about the missing Companion. He seemed to have abandoned her.
He's just like all the others. He forced me to take the narrow path. Then when I left it, he disappeared. Well, I'm just fine without him.
But the berries made her thirsty, very thirsty. And as soon as she noticed her thirst, like magic, she came upon a clear running stream. She bent, scooped the water in her hands, and drank her fill. But when she finished drinking, a vile, sour aftertaste lingered in her mouth. Here she was, alone on the road of good intentions with a sour mouth and the beginnings of a stomachache. Yet could it be? She thought she saw some other pilgrims up ahead. Oh, maybe if she hurried, she could catch up with them. The traveler began to run. She ran for a long time until she realized something strange. The longer she ran, the more the road of good intentions looked just the same. She was running in place. Finally, out of breath, Traveler stopped running. She knew she needed to find real food and shelter soon.
Think, girl. What was I supposed to remember about life's abundant joys? Companion, why have you let me get into this mess?
Although her voice was angry, her heart remained still. So many choices about where to go. She'd tried to make the right ones. Going down the road of good intentions by herself had seemed like a good choice. This was just one of many times when she decided to do something, confident that it was right, and then it had turned out all wrong.
Suffer from a bad affliction. Seems my life's a contradiction. Two lives war inside of me, and though I want the spirit to win, seems a strong man gets his way. Yeah. I don't do what I know is true, do what I don't want to do, but I do it. Oh yes, I do it. The same each day, praying for a better way. Made up in my mind, I'm gonna carry out the good that I desire. But it seldom works out right. Don't do what I know is true, do what I don't wanna do, but I do it. Oh yes, I do it. I know that life is choices, chances all day long. Make much difference when it's all rebellion in my heart. Can I ever make it right? I don't do what I know is true, I do what I don't want to do, but I do it. Oh yes, I do it. I do it.
Oh, why? Oh, why did I ever leave Companion in the narrow path?
Her head hurt, her stomach hurt, her feet hurt. but most of all, her heart hurt. She was alone, and she needed someone to talk to.
Oh, dear companion, please come back.
I am here.
Oh, why did you leave me? I'm so sick and lost. Where have you been?
I did not leave you, and I have been where I always am. Now tell me what you've been doing and where you hurt.
So Traveler told Companion about eating the berries and drinking from the brook and running, but not getting anywhere. Finally, in frustration, she ended, crying and talking at the same time.
Up on Longlook Mountain, everything looks so clear. Now I'm lost on some stupid road that doesn't go anywhere, with more questions than answers. Oh, Companion, where have I been and where am I going?
Companion listened to all she said. He listened to her words and to her heart. He couldn't take away her pain and sickness. He couldn't take away her questions. He knew she needed them all. But he could explain a few things to her.
Listen carefully. This road of good intentions really doesn't lead anywhere. Those berries you ate are berries of deception. And that water you drank, why, that was from the brook of doubt. The strong aftertaste makes you doubt yourself.
Oh, I've been so wrong. I should never have left the narrow path. I'll never find it again. I don't know the way.
Traveler, my dear, calm yourself. The pace of your journey is as important as the direction. You just started going a little too fast, and then you made one wrong turn, and that led to another. If you move too fast, you will not understand the depth of your journey. You won't be able to follow the narrow path. If you go too slow, of course, you risk stopping altogether and becoming a passerby. You must walk with me, traveler, for I know the best pace for you. I will never leave you, but you must stay close to me. I am your companion.
Hearing these words, Traveler did indeed begin to feel better, calmer. Still, she was puzzled.
How do I know I won't get lost again? And how do I know you won't get sick of hearing me cry and complain? Oh, my head hurts when I think of all the questions I have.
I know you have questions that overwhelm you, traveler. Questions are part of your journey, and you must never be afraid to ask them. No question you can ask, and nothing you say will make me leave. Was I not happy with you when you discovered life's abundant joys? And am I not with you now when you ate of the berries of deception and drank of the water of doubt and became sick and hurting? Traveler, look into my eyes and know that I love you.
She looked, and she saw such love, unlike any she had felt before. Companion did not ask her to live as her family had always lived, as her father had. Companion did not demand that she know the way as Challenger had. She didn't have to do anything or prove anything or find anything to earn Companion's love. The kind of love she had felt before seemed like a weight, something she had to earn. She couldn't move at all, and she was constantly struggling against that weight. But this was new. This was like an anchor, and this held her safe and secure.
He wants nothing from me except that I stay with him.
Traveler felt loved unconditionally. Companion knew her thoughts and her heart.
I am with you in ways you cannot know. In the wind, the trees, the sun, the stars, everywhere. You can stay with me because I will stay with you.
Out to you as you go your way. Take strength, my friend, in all you do. I pray that God will keep you in loving care, and all the stars shine down on should you wake to morning so cold and gray.
Le Voyage continues.
There's a hand on my shoulder.
If you've been touched by the words and music of Sandi Patty's Le Voyage, here's a special invitation from Baptist Bookstores and Lifeway Christian Stores. Now for a limited time, Baptist Bookstores and Lifeway Christian Stores is offering a 20% discount on all Le Voyage materials. That's 20% off the Le Voyage CD, cassette, book, and video. To take advantage of this offer, just come into your nearest Baptist bookstore or Lifeway Christian store. Or even easier, call our toll-free number 1-800-233-1123. That number again is 1-800-233-1123. And don't forget to ask about your other favorite Christian artist titles. Join Sandi Patty on her Le Voyage. Call 1-800-233-1123 from Baptist Bookstores and Lifeway Christian Stores. For Christian music, this is the place.
Sandi Patty, Le Voyage, an inspiring chronicle of our journey of faith.
My heart breaking up inside me.
Intimate, honest,
How could anyone feel so
a story of hurts and healing, of trials and triumphs.
And if you're cold, home they burn with flames of love.
Sandi Patty, Le Voyage. Le Voyage, it's everyone's journey. Sandi Patty, Le Voyage. An album you live. Available everywhere from Word Epic Records. And pick up the Le Voyage companion story from Word Publishing.
Before the album, before the video, there was the story. Le Voyage. This intimate and inspiring tale chronicles one traveler's triumphant journey of faith and captures the essence of everyone's walk with Christ. In search of the home place, traveler must overcome fear, questioning, and pain. Her constant guide, companion, accompanies her throughout the journey, offering comfort and direction each step of the way. Share with traveler the frightening walk through her personal fears, the soothing balms of the Tenderlands, and her necessary ascent up the last great mountain. Le Voyage is a personal reminder of God's enduring love, penned along the path of righteousness. You haven't truly experienced Le Voyage until you've read it. Le Voyage, the novel, new from Sandi Patty and Word Publishing, available wherever Christian books are sold.
We now return to Le Voyage, featuring Sandi Patty and Bonnie Keene.
You seem to know so much about me, companion. Tell me about yourself. I want to know you. Tell me more about home place.
My father is there, but I spend much of my time in this world as well.
And who is your father? Is he a kind man like you, companion?
Companion always loved to answer this question.
My father and I are very much alike indeed. In fact, some say if you've seen me, you've seen my father. It is he who sent me to you, traveler. He heard your heart's cry.
Companion found a nice grassy spot beside the road to sit.
Join me here, traveler. It is good to rest and talk as good friends should.
There were few things that Companion loved more than talking about his home place.
The home place has always been. It is a place of joy and fulfillment, contentment and peace. In the home place, the journey continues, but the burdens of this life are stripped away, and you see the truth clearly and honestly, with no distractions, with no questions. It is a place where you can truly commune with others who have longed for a place to call home.
Oh, it sounds so lovely. But will there be a place for me there?
Of course, dear one. For my father's prepared a place for you. He awaits your coming.
How will I know when I'm on my way to home place?
You are already on your way. Remember what I said to you about seeing the narrow path with your eyes and your heart? You must just keep doing that, and you will reach home.
or rather home, will find you.
Companion wrapped Traveler warm in his cloak.
Hush now. Rest, for the night is almost gone. When the sun rises, we will set out again.
There's a place not far away, forever and beyond, where a morning star ignites the sky with a light that needs no sun. And if you walk with me, I'll gladly take you there. It's a land where dreams come true and doubts are swept away. A home place to the traveler who's questioning his way. And if you're lost, the power of love will bring you home. It's the longing and the laughter, the voices calling you to journey through the night. It's the cry forever after. So reach and hope will find you. Just reach and hope will find you.
Like the friendship of a family as they gather around the fire. It's the warmth of that acceptance that everyone desires. And if you're cold, home base burns with flames of love.
And the heart that yearns for sunrise is a dream that beckons you to scale a mountain high. It's the joy that lets the heart rise. So reach and hope will find you. Just reach and hope will find you. Come and see. Come with me. It's the longing and the laughter, the voices calling you to journey through the night. It's the cry forever after. So reach and hope will find you. Reach and hope will find you. Reach and hope will find you. Hope will you can hope will find you. Reach out and hope will find you. Hope will find you. You can there's a voice that's guiding you.
In the morning, with newfound energy, Traveler made her way again. They left the road of good intentions behind, and once more she could see and feel the narrow path. Her mind and spirit were renewed, but the going was not always easy. She kept moving, though not too fast and not too slow. As Companion and Traveler journeyed, they talked. Traveler listened to Companion with fascination. It seemed impossible that anyone could understand things with such knowledge and clarity. When Traveler would have reached for a berry of deception, which appeared again as soon as she was hungry, Companion gently guided her to the fruit of truth instead. And when she thirsted, he led her directly to the well of wisdom, guiding her away from the brook of doubt. The lessons she learned from the seeds of curiosity didn't seem funny when she found the first ones. Traveler spotted a seed and picked it up. Something told her to sit down beside the path, but she didn't, of course. Instead, she said to Companion, "I must plant the seed and see what grows." Companion, as always, let her choose what to do. So she planted the seed and watched as it grew into a tangled vine. It seemed to take only a minute. Each stem went out in a different direction, and Traveler insisted on following several to their ends, trying to gather up all of the new seeds. Of course, she got tangled in the vines and wasted a lot of time and energy going around in circles. Later on, she said, "Curiosity got me all tangled up," and both of them giggled. The stones of strength were perhaps the most intriguing of all. Traveler encountered the first one late in the day. There it was where it hadn't been just a minute before, blocking the narrow path. First, she tried to shove it aside. It wouldn't budge. And she kicked it, getting nothing but a sore toe for her trouble. Finally, in frustration, she sat down on it, for it had grown into a large boulder. As she sat, a voice inside her heart said, "Pick it up and put it in your pack."
Oh, sure. This stone must weigh a ton, and I'm going to put it in my pack?
But that's exactly what she did. She discovered that by picking up the stones one by one and placing them in her travel pouch, she was beginning to make progress. The stones actually became smaller after she placed them in her pouch. Along the path, Traveler found more and more of these stones. Well, they journeyed on. Companion, of course, knew everything about Traveler. Yet still he delighted as she discovered things about herself and shared them with him. And at Traveler's request, Companion continued to tell stories about himself and his father. After a while, Traveler felt as if she had known Companion her whole life.
What did I ever do without you?
Oh, I was never far from you. Remember when you used to sit in that small church every Sunday with your grandmother?
You were there? I never saw you.
Your heart wasn't beckoning you yet, that's why. And in your school, and in your girlhood home. I was there too. Remember, I am never far away.
Well, I'm glad that I know you're here now, and I'd love to sit here forever, but I think we must be on our way.
Whatever you choose.
So they walked along on the narrow path and beside the river of innocence. Traveler found comfort in hearing the lovely stream burble. Daily she washed her hands and face in it and drank of its sweet water. But one morning after a particularly restless night, worrying that she might not be going in the right direction, she awoke to silence. At first she didn't know what was wrong. Then hearing only the silence, missing the reassuring sound of the river of innocence, she panicked.
Companion, where are you? The river, it's gone.
More silence. No answer.
Oh no, I knew I took a wrong turn yesterday, and now Companion is gone, and I've lost the narrow path.
Some time passed as she sat there wringing her hands and moaning. Then she became still, and as she quieted herself, she heard that loving voice once again.
My dear girl, why do you worry? You've not lost your way. When you take a wrong turn, remember, all you have to do is know that I will always be with you. Now hush. Do you hear the river?
And so she did. She had not lost the river of innocence or the narrow path after all. She only needed to quiet herself and let her heart call out to them. That day they walked long. The narrow path grew steep. Despite Companion's reassurance, Traveler grew tired. Her doubts had taken much energy from her. She was lonely, too, for the camaraderie of other pilgrims.
If only I could stop for a while, rest and talk with someone.
Was that singing she heard? She hadn't realized how long it had been since she'd heard a voice other than her own or that of her trusted companion. And that bright haze on the horizon, those were lights, not the moon. Someone else was on the path, quite nearby, it seemed. Traveler's laughter rang out, startling an owl from a nearby tree.
Companion, is it true? Are there others near here? Is there a place to stop?
It is the city of rest, traveler. A much-needed respite, to be sure, but you must be careful.
Careful of what?
Of yourself. You must rest. Yes, that is crucial to continuing your journey. But you must guard against complacency and false security.
Oh, Companion, you worry too much.
No, my dear, I do not.
For truly he did not worry.
Le Voyage continues after station identification. We now return to Le Voyage, featuring Todd Chapman, Matt Baugher, and Sissy Goff.
Oh, Companion, you worry too much.
No, my dear, I do not.
for truly he did not worry. Yet he did have Traveler's best interests at heart, which is why he reminded her.
Remember the berries of deception and the brook of doubt. Things are not always what they seem. They can breed discontent, make you doubt, throw you off your true course.
But Traveler wasn't listening. In fact, at this moment, she was sprinting full tilt down the hill toward the entrance to the City of Rest. A gatekeeper greeted her with a smile.
Hey, welcome to the City of Rest on the path where it's partly cloudy, a little bit hazy now, but eventually all becomes clear.
Traveler did not notice that his eyes and heart were not smiling too. She stepped through the gate and stopped to look around. She saw a lovely small city with many people sitting on benches, stopping to chat in small groups, lolling against buildings. No one seemed to be going anywhere in much of a hurry. As soon as she stopped, she began to shiver in the chill night air. She called to a friendly young man leaning against a porthole to the gate.
Hello. Are you also travelers?
Well, we prefer to be called voluntary passengers. We go with the flow. Actual traveling requires so much strength, especially if you carry your own burden.
But you had to travel to get to this place, did you not?
Of course. However, we've been resting for many years now. You see, it's enjoyable here, and who's to say the home place is any better? No one's ever been there. Perhaps someday I'll go with the others when we're ready. Maybe tomorrow. In the meantime, life is good here in the City of Rest, so it must not be the right time to proceed.
Having finished this long speech, the young man took a good look at Traveler, and he saw a bedraggled, shivering young woman.
But listen to me babbling on. How rude. Please, take this coat. It will keep you warm.
Traveler put on the coat. Immediately, she felt warm and secure. She knew she wouldn't want to leave this place, whatever it was, any time soon. The city was pleasing in a bland sort of way. 2 brick streets intersected at a small park. The City of Rest had no particular beauty, no endless sky or sweeping vista like Longlook Mountain. It had no outstanding architecture, nothing to take her breath away, and yet there was a certain something. Perhaps the thatched-roofed cottages that made Traveler feel safe. The front yards of the cottages were neat and tidy. One bush, which grew in most of them, looked familiar to Traveler, much like the berry of deception bush. She was quite sure it couldn't be. Who would let that detestable bush grow in their front yard? Traveler waved to a woman working in front of a cottage. The woman waved back distractedly, for she was busy following a tangled vine to its end. Traveler felt a tinge of uneasiness. That couldn't be the vine that grew from the seeds of curiosity, could it?
Would you like me to show you around?
Oh, I thank you. That's very kind of you.
As they walked the streets of the City of Rest, Traveler noticed that all the people wore a coat, very much like hers.
I fit right in here. I must belong.
The young man pointed out various sights as they walked.
And over there is the Spa of Respite. Sometimes when I get to feeling anxious, like maybe I should move on, I go over and sit in the waters. Then I calm down. And over there, that's the Bite a Bit Inn. I try not to go over there. Seems the people who stay there don't stay here too long. We can find you a place to stay later.
How nice of you.
Traveler was taken with this new friend. A woman about Traveler's age stopped them in the middle of the block.
Hi, you're like new, aren't you?
Yes, and sorely in need of rest.
You look it. Well, I'm on my way to the party at the Statue of Recuperation. See it over there in the park? Why don't you join me?
Well, that sounds like a perfect way to unwind from my journey.
She gave a brief thought to letting Companion know where she'd be, but he was nowhere in sight. Well, it was a small city, and she felt quite sure she couldn't get lost here. He must be near. Traveler joined the group of voluntary passengers who were holding hands while singing and dancing around the Statue of Recuperation. After a while, growing tired of the party, she decided on her own to go back to the Bite a Bit Inn. That first night, she slept dreamlessly, awoke refreshed, and joined the voluntary passengers for yet another party. And that day passed, and another, and another. Traveler was growing used to feeling content.
Maybe these people are right. What reason is there to go on searching for the home place? A place I've never seen when this city is so peaceful.
Suddenly she tripped and almost fell to the ground, sending her mind instantly back to the narrow path. Well, where was it now? Something inside her whispered.
You've got to find it. This isn't your home.
That little stumble brought Traveler to her senses. She realized that she hadn't even thought of Companion for days. How long had it been? Her sore muscles had healed. She felt energized and refreshed from her long sleeps. She called out to Companion.
Companion, I miss you. Where are you?
As always,
He appeared by her side.
Right here. Don't you think it's time we leave this place?
Oh, no.
Traveler was stunned at her strong reaction to this mild suggestion. After all, just a minute ago, she'd been longing for her path.
Traveler, rest is good for you. In fact, the parties here bring happiness and laughter. But do they truly bring joy to your heart? You see, these former travelers who call themselves voluntary passengers have misinterpreted the reason this place exists. It was created to give pilgrims a place to rest on their journey and a taste of the joy to come. They've attributed the happiness in their hearts to the city of rest itself, not to its creator. I want to tell you a story about a time when I, too, was given an opportunity to stop at a false place. I was taken high up on a cliff and told that all I saw could be mine to rule and take pleasure in, if only I'd stop traveling back to my father. If only I'd deny him.
And what happened?
Why, I couldn't do it. I could never give up my father. I just knew in my heart I couldn't, no matter what came next.
And did you go back to your father?
Yes. Yes, I did. And because I did, every pilgrim who wishes to do so also can go to my father in the home place. Let me show you the real joy at the end of your journey.
Oh, companion, I don't know why I thought this was a good place to stay. To tell you the truth, I'm getting a little sick of parties.
Traveler realized she was enjoying a moment with her dear companion, and laughing at her own foibles was at least as much fun as a week of parties, and she knew in her heart it was time to move on. Traveler left her coat of complacency near the statue of recuperation. Singing every step, she and companion left the city of rest. Traveler and companion passed many days walking the narrow path. Traveler felt so full of joy that she made a resolution.
Never again will I wander away from you.
He simply looked at her with great love in his eyes, and she grew wiser under his gaze.
Well, I've learned not to say never, but I do resolve that if I wander, I will not wait to call out to you for help.
Now you know that I will not judge you or lecture you or make you feel like a bad person. I love you without bounds.
And I will stay with you because you love me and because I want to. You truly are my companion.
Lives of the people we see every day are the treasures on our way. To know that it's just a few words away, just a little kindness, love will show you the way. Or the sound can heal another's pain. We all have the power to make a stranger a friend. Just when we're afraid to, love will do it again. Oh, love can open the door to our hearts. Oh, love cover the distance that keeps us apart. But we're never too far, 'cause love can open the door. Love can open it to our heart. Love can open the door.
Le Voyage continues after these messages.
There's a hand on my shoulder.
If you've
been touched by the words and music of Sandi Patty's Le Voyage, here's a special invitation from Baptist Bookstores and Lifeway Christian Stores. Now for a limited time, Baptist Bookstores and Lifeway Christian Stores is offering a 20% discount on all Le Voyage materials. That's 20% off the Le Voyage CD, cassette, book, and video. To take advantage of this offer, just come into your nearest Baptist bookstore or Lifeway Christian store. Or even easier, call our toll-free number 1-800-233-1123. That number again is 1-800-233-1123. And don't forget to ask about your other favorite Christian artist titles. Join Sandi Patty on her Le Voyage. Call 1-800-233-1123 from Baptist Bookstores and Lifeway Christian Stores. For Christian music, this is the place.
Before the album, before the video, there was the story. Le Voyage. This intimate and inspiring tale chronicles one traveler's triumphant journey of faith and captures the essence of everyone's walk with Christ. In search of the home place, traveler must overcome fear, questioning, and pain. Her constant guide, companion, accompanies her throughout the journey, offering comfort and direction each step of the way. Share with traveler the frightening walk through her personal fears, the soothing balms of the Tenderlands, and her necessary ascent up the last great mountain. Le Voyage is a personal reminder of God's enduring love, penned along the path of righteousness. You haven't truly experienced Le Voyage until you've read it. Le Voyage, the novel, new from Sandi Patty and Word Publishing, available wherever Christian books are sold.
Sandi Patty, Le Voyage, an inspiring chronicle of our journey of faith.
My heart breaking up inside me.
Intimate, honest,
How could anyone feel so alone?
a story of hurts and healing, of trials and triumphs.
And if you're cold, home base burns with flames of love.
Sandi Patty, Le Voyage. Le Voyage, it's everyone's journey. Sandi Patty, Le Voyage. An album you'll live. Available everywhere from Word Epic Records. And pick up the Le Voyage companion story from Word Publishing.
We now return to Le Voyage, featuring Sandi Patty and Dean Arvidson.
Traveler felt well satisfied, knowing that her heart indeed had found a home, though she traveled still. Soon after that, Traveler once again began to feel restless. The feeling started in the pit of her stomach and made its way to her throat, and finally to her consciousness.
Companion, what is happening to me? I'm scared. I feel like something bad is about to happen. I know you're with me, yet I've never felt so alone, so frightened.
Traveler wanted to run away, but where? The fear came from inside her. Her eyes swept the terrain. Mysterious storm clouds were quickly filling the sky, and there was an eerie sense of quiet in the air. Unsettling, an ominous silence, much like sailors sense before a storm at sea. She knew she hadn't left the narrow path. It was here somewhere, even if she couldn't quite see it at the moment. To her left, a stream inched its way through the crags and the rocks, met with a faster-moving river, and dropped with fierce persistence in the lake below. The waterfall might have been calming to Traveler if it hadn't been entirely silent. She looked down into the water, expecting it to reflect her face or the landscape, but it didn't. It was too murky.
Companion, what is this place?
We are approaching the Forest of Fears, dear one. I know you're afraid. If you've ever trusted me, trust me now. You are much closer to the home place than you realize, but you must go through the Forest of Fears to reach it. There's no way around it. You must face what you fear most, yourself. I cannot face it for you, but I can face it with you.
Oh, companion, don't leave me.
You can bear it, dear one. You have traveled far in answering your heart's beckoning. You have grown in wisdom and in strength as you've journeyed. You are strong enough to face the forest of fears. You must choose whether to do so. I cannot choose for you.
Traveler knew the choice she must make. She knew that if she did not go on, she would never be content. She could no more go back now that she'd had a glimpse of Long Look Mountain, now that she'd felt Companion's love. Then a butterfly can go back into its cocoon and become a caterpillar once more. She knew this in her heart, though she could not say it.
Companion, please come with me.
Traveler, take my hand and don't let go. I am with you always, as I said I would be.
Nevertheless, she felt paralyzed. Her feet felt rooted into the ground. But now she knew what to do. She instinctively called out to Companion.
Please, help me put one foot in front of the other.
And so they moved on, step by single step, until Traveler was striding forward with some confidence in her steps. They headed down the rocky slope right past the murky lake and didn't stop once until Traveler spied an awful sight right at the edge of the Forest of Fears. A large brown bush, branches growing off in all directions, contorted itself into shape after shape. It never stayed still for a minute. The branches groaned, creaked, and screeched like they were in pain as the bush shifted one way and then another. Traveler pointed her finger and whispered to Companion.
What is that grotesque thing?
Don't touch it.
I have no intention of doing so. But what is it?
This is the bush of false security. It twists and shifts constantly, looking for a position that will bring it peace and happiness.
Traveler stopped staring at the bush and glanced at Companion. She paused, took one last look into the comfort of his eyes, and stepped purposefully into the heart of the forest. Intently studying her surroundings, she could just make out the shadows of trees through the heavy mist. Everything was familiar to her in a vague sort of way. It was as if her life passed before her eyes right there in the forest. Well, not her whole life, but the bad parts, the painful memories. As if out of the very mist, she heard Companion whisper.
You've already survived the painful events of your past. You will survive the memory of them and face your fears. Hold on, Traveler. Do not let go.
And so she did. Her fear of being unliked, her fear of not doing the right thing in others, one by one. It didn't seem so bad at first. There was just enough light coming through the mist to help her see the path. Traveler felt almost in control, then slipping deeper and deeper into the heart of the Forest of Fears. Traveler realized that nothing here was as it should be. The blackness choked her. Step by step, she crept forward, facing the fear of being alone, of not knowing her purpose in life. The trees seemed to grow larger before her very eyes. The all-too-familiar bushes of the Berry of Deception loomed just off the path. Monstrous things with swinging limbs. They seemed to call out, mocking her. You don't know the truth. You wouldn't know the truth if it hit you in the face. In an effort to get her bearings, Traveler reached for her compass. She could just make out the gleaming needle, but it was no help. It spun round and round, making her dizzy. Traveler knew then for certain that her compass was not her guide. She took a deep breath and forced her eyes ahead, searching for the path. Standing right before her, had it been there a minute ago, was the largest, most frightening tree Traveler had ever seen. Its mammoth trunk filled the entire path, butting right up against the high rocks on either side. It grew tall into the mist, higher than Traveler could see. It had many branches and more than a few leaves, although this was no lovely summer tree. The brown leaves shivered, seeming to point accusingly at Traveler. She didn't have to ask Companion the name of this tree. She knew the feelings it evoked all too well. This was the tree of guilt, and she saw no way around it. She could not climb the rocks it grew against. If she tried to climb the tree, she knew it would tangle her in its branches forever. She no longer knew if Companion held her hand or not, for she could feel nothing. Her whole body was numb. She stood rooted to the spot. Suddenly, one of the limbs grabbed her leg. Traveler was desperate. She must do something.
Companion, help me!
She flung herself directly toward the center of the large trunk and fell through to the other side, as if the tree were made of the very stuff of the mist around it. Traveler felt rather than heard the huge tree fall behind her. She had faced her guilt, the guilt for all the things she had done to hurt herself and others, the guilt for all the things she hadn't done, and perhaps, worst of all, the false guilt that made her feel like she was responsible for all the bad things in the world. Slowly, Traveler sat up, but the darkness hadn't lifted. She could still hardly see at all. The monster tree of guilt was gone, but her other fears were still there. She knew she had not yet left the forest. Her legs were scratched. She bumped her head, and most of all, her heart ached. Traveler had never been so tired.
Where are you, companion?
In the silence, she felt the gentle hand on her shoulder and knew he was near. She tried to see the path, but it seemed to have disappeared into the mist and the shadows of the trees. She tried to get up, but her legs wouldn't hold her.
All right. If I can't walk, I will crawl.
And crawl she did, on her hands and knees. She could hardly believe she was making progress. In the midst of the darkness and the pain and the fear, she inched forward on her knees, with Companion by her side. Yet even this halting progress became more difficult. Traveler thrashed her arms about, trying to feel the path. It had disappeared. She tried to stand again and could not. She was about to scream her frustration when a voice inside her said, "Be still and wait." And so she did. She had no idea what she waited for. She just simply waited. And then she felt it. A tug on her hand, so slight she almost missed it. Had she not been sitting so still, she would have missed it. Gently, ever so gently, Companion pulled Traveler to her feet. Then she felt another tug. Companion was telling her the direction. He tugged, and she took a step. She waited for the next tug and took the next step. Sometimes it seemed like hours between the tug and the step. But now she knew that waiting patiently is also sometimes part of travel.
What place is this sun in, where I pretend I'm not afraid, never afraid? Is this some dream I'm in? Nothing seems real, and everything's changing. I'm alone in a towering wood so deep, and the shadows of my life are all I can see. For the first time I've come face to face with myself. I'm a traveler in the forest of my fears. Ghosts from forgotten past, sins ill-remembered, all are here, all of them here. Fears seemed so small before, loom up and show their faces so clearly, so clearly. Oh, I gotta find escape from here somehow. All my efforts fail me here. They fail me now. Only to
journey continues after these messages.
Sandi Patty, Le Voyage, an inspiring chronicle of our journey of faith.
My heart breaking up inside me.
Intimate, honest,
How could anyone feel so alone?
a story of hurts and healing, of trials and triumphs.
And if you're cold, home base burns with flames of love.
Sandi Patty, Le Voyage. Le Voyage, it's everyone's journey. Sandi Patty, Le Voyage. An album you'll live. Available everywhere from Word Epic Records. And pick up the Le Voyage companion story from Word Publishing.
Before the album, before the video, there was the story. Le Voyage. This intimate and inspiring tale chronicles one traveler's triumphant journey of faith and captures the essence of everyone's walk with Christ. In search of the home place, traveler must overcome fear, questioning, and pain. Her constant guide, companion, accompanies her throughout the journey, offering comfort and direction each step of the way. Share with traveler the frightening walk through her personal fears, the soothing balms of the Tenderlands, and her necessary ascent up the last great mountain. Le Voyage is a personal reminder of God's enduring love, penned along the path of righteousness. You haven't truly experienced Le Voyage until you've read it. Le Voyage, the novel, new from Sandi Patty and Word Publishing, available wherever Christian books are sold.
There's a hand on my shoulder.
If you've been touched by the words and music of Sandi Patty's Le Voyage, here's a special invitation from Baptist Bookstores and Lifeway Christian Stores. Now, for a limited time, Baptist Bookstores and Lifeway Christian Stores is offering a 20% discount on all Le Voyage materials. That's 20% off the Le Voyage CD, cassette, book, and video. To take advantage of this offer, just come into your nearest Baptist bookstore or Lifeway Christian store. Or even easier, call our toll-free number 1-800-233-1123. That number again is 1-800-233-1123. And don't forget to ask about your other favorite Christian artist titles. Join Sandi Patty on her Le Voyage. Call 1-800-233-1123 from Baptist Bookstores and Lifeway Christian Stores. For Christian music, this is the place.
We now return to Le Voyage, featuring Sandi Patty and Bonnie Keene.
Traveler didn't know how long they progressed like this. But after a while, a brisk wind began to push her forward faster now than she wanted to go. She had all she could do to keep her balance. The wind blew away the mist, and Traveler could see before her a deep crevice that seemed to have no bottom. Its very emptiness exuded power. It seemed to beckon her. With horror, Traveler realized she felt the urge to jump in, and she instinctively knew that this was the pit of temptation. Without warning, the very rocks underneath her feet shifted up and she began to slide. Traveler grabbed for a rock, trying to hold herself back. Her fingers bled and still she slid. Traveler flung herself to the ground, trying to hug the rock so she wouldn't slide in. The rock slashed her body. She knew that if only she could hold on, the pit would close. Images of times past when she'd tried to hold on by herself swept over Traveler like a cyclone of memories. Screams, tears, disappointments, tragedies, lost love. She realized that in her whole life, she'd never been able to hold on by herself. Somehow, she'd always let go. With her feet about to slide into the abyss, Traveler remembered Companion's words.
I cannot face it for you, but I can face it with you.
Wanting to believe these words with all her soul and longing for them to be true, Traveler released her grip. Just before she plunged, she reached out with her heart, not her hands, and clung not to the rocky ground, but to Companion's words. Abruptly, she stopped her downward slide, and just as abruptly, the pit of temptation shuddered and closed. Traveler had found the secret to avoiding the pit. Not her own strength of will, but her humble affirmation of faith and trust. Traveler wept tears of joy. Then, exhausted, she collapsed and slept. Traveler's body claimed long overdue rest. And when she awoke, she sat up slowly, feeling the aftermath of her struggle in every muscle, joint, and bone of her body. She looked down at herself, amazed by the array of scrapes, scratches, bruises, and blisters. Her clothes had been torn by the branches of many treacherous trees. She was a mess. And she did not yet know that she was no longer in the forest of fears.
Companion, what has happened to me? I look like I've been in a battle.
Oh, little one, you have indeed been in a battle. You had the courage to face the most terrifying part of your journey. I am so proud of you, Traveler. You are a brave one.
Where are we now, Companion? It's so peaceful and quiet.
Look around you.
Traveler saw that they were sitting in a field of grass on the top of a little hill beside the path. Looking ahead, she could see a beautiful valley so alive with color and beauty, and yet so understated in its simplicity. It reminded her a bit of Long Look Mountain, and looking even farther ahead to the other side of the valley, Traveler saw another mountain. Light came from the very top. Could it be that there was a city up there?
Oh, Companion, everything looks so new, so alive. Tell me about this place. I want to know everything.
You have walked through the forest of fears, Traveler. You faced the pain inside yourself. You willed yourself to look straight into the face of your fear.
I remember that part.
But you did more than that. You were changed completely at the pit of temptation, for you learned that you cannot resist temptation by yourself. You cried out to me with your heart to be with you, and I was.
Traveler sat lost in thought for a minute. Then she reached for her pack. She drew out her beloved compass and gave it to Companion.
I think that I've been trying to find my own way with this compass, even when you've been here to guide me all along. You must take my will and make it yours.
Yes, yes. You have learned your lesson well. I accept your compass, and I return it to you freely. For I know that having given it to me, you will make good use of it.
As you say, so I will do.
Now, little one, didn't you say you wanted to know where you are? We are in a place called the Tenderlands. It is here that the flower of mercy blooms fragrant, and the tree of compassion never ceases to bear fruit. Love grows here. Your tears flowed freely in the forest of fears, and while you struggled, I gathered them all to water the Tenderlands. It is your tears, Traveler, as well as those of many others, that help give life here.
Within my soul, the lands I seek are golden fields where rivers meet. Their seeds are sown by heaven's hand, and harvest comes in the Tenderland. Patient sunlight nurtures the flowers to bloom. Comfort sweet Baby, don't cry. And mama, don't weep. In the tender land.
As they began down the path through the Tenderlands, Traveler thought she smelled food. She didn't mention her hunger, though. She didn't want to appear not to appreciate her surroundings.
I could sure use a bit of refreshment.
You've done it again.
What?
You always have a way of sensing my need and expressing it without sounding like a know-it-all. And you got it right again. I'm famished. But where will we find food? There's no end in sight.
My father will provide.
Is it my imagination? Are those people coming toward us?
Traveler's question reflected her excitement. Then, remembering her tattered clothes and bruised body, she became self-conscious. It didn't seem to matter how worn she looked to Companion. But what would these people think of her? She quite expected these newfound pilgrims to reject her once they got a good look at her wounds. So she was more than a little surprised when they not only didn't turn away, but greeted her and offered bandages, soothing balms, new clothes, food, drink, everything Traveler needed. It was as if these new, unexpected friends had been anticipating her arrival. Some called out friendly greetings to Companion. Others didn't know him but responded warmly when they were introduced. Traveler thought she recognized a couple of the people from early in her journey. In fact, one of them strongly resembled Challenger, although his features were softer, and he looked older.
How did he get here? Last time I saw him, he was goading anyone within earshot. And he wasn't very nice to me either. How could he have come this far along the path?
She felt quite irritated and, well, yes, betrayed. Companion, as always, was listening to Traveler's heart.
I said to you long ago, my dear, that each one must choose the direction of her own journey. You cannot walk another's path. It is not important how Challenger got here. He is here. And for this moment, once again, your paths have crossed. He has as much to offer as do these other friends. They know pain. They too have been wounded in the forest of fears. Let them help you soothe your wounds. Receive freely from them, Traveler. And now, let's eat.
And so they did, just as soon as Challenger and the others had bound up Traveler's wounds and helped her into her new clothes. Traveler knew that Companion spoke the truth, and she felt her heart soften toward Challenger. It no longer mattered to her that things didn't make sense. She was able to tenderly receive the gifts of mercy being lavished upon her.
Le Voyage continues.
There's a hand on my shoulder.
If you've been touched by the words and music of Sandi Patty's Le Voyage, here's a special invitation from Baptist Bookstores and Lifeway Christian Stores. Now for a limited time, Baptist Bookstores and Lifeway Christian Stores is offering a 20% discount on all Le Voyage materials. That's 20% off the Le Voyage CD, cassette, book, and video. To take advantage of this offer, just come into your nearest Baptist bookstore or Lifeway Christian store. Or even easier, call our toll-free number 1-800-233-1123. That number again is 1-800-233-1123. And don't forget to ask about your other favorite Christian artist titles. Join Sandi Patty on her Le Voyage. Call 1-800-233-1123 from Baptist Bookstores and Lifeway Christian Stores. For Christian music, this is the place.
Sandi Patty, Le Voyage, an inspiring chronicle of our journey of faith.
My heart breaking up inside me.
Intimate, honest,
How could anyone feel so alone?
a story of hurts and healing, of trials and triumphs.
And if you're cold, home base burns with flames of love.
Sandi Patty, Le Voyage.
Take it longer,
Le Voyage, it's everyone's journey.
hard climb that takes a long time.
Sandi Patty, Le Voyage. An album you'll live. Available everywhere from Word Epic Records. and pick up the Le Voyage companion story from Word Publishing.
Before the album, before the video, there was the story, Le Voyage. This intimate and inspiring tale chronicles one traveler's triumphant journey of faith and captures the essence of everyone's walk with Christ. In search of the home place, traveler must overcome fear, questioning, and pain. Her constant guide, companion, accompanies her throughout the journey, offering comfort and direction each step of the way. Share with traveler the frightening walk through her personal fears, the soothing balms of the Tenderlands, and her necessary ascent up the last great mountain. Le Voyage is a personal reminder of God's enduring love, penned along the path of righteousness. You haven't truly experienced Le Voyage until you've read it. Le Voyage, the novel, new from Sandi Patty and Word Publishing, available wherever Christian books are sold.
And now, the conclusion of Le Voyage.
When the dark closes in so hard I can hardly see, and the walls of my fortress of faith crumble in me, when it seems like the end, not a measure of strength to spare. Of a stranger rescue me, soothing balm for the wounds I suffer along the way, a fervent prayer giving courage and hope for another day. Through the help of my friend, ones I may never see again, seem like angels that were sent by heaven for me, with some unexpected friend, never asking where I've been, just a hand of mercy and words of love call me back again. Oh, it feels like home with unexpected friends.
After they had all eaten and spent time sharing their stories, Traveler got some well-earned rest. As she was drifting off to sleep, she reflected on her new friends and the lessons she'd learned here in the Tenderlands with them. To recognize and meet another's need, to show them love and compassion is essential to any traveler's journey. But it is also essential to allow other pilgrims to recognize and meet your own needs. There's a time for both, she murmured to herself just before she fell asleep. Love truly did grow in the Tenderlands, and now in Traveler's heart as well. Traveler and companion spent some time in the Tenderlands, greeting new pilgrims, binding up wounds, feasting together. But soon, too soon, Traveler thought, came the day when she knew she must move on. She yearned to stay just a little longer, to tell her friends how they had strengthened her, renewed her, and made her feel special. But at their actual parting, words failed her. All she could say was,
Thank you. Thank you for everything. I will never forget you.
And she hugged each one with a tenderness and love she had not known until her recent experience in the Tenderlands. Many tears fell as they hugged. Companion felt it too, the bitter-sweet portion of love. It is good to love and be loved in return. That is the sweet. The bitter comes in the parting. Companion already knew what Traveler was now feeling. There is no sweet without the bitter, and no bitter without the sweet. That is the way of the journey, the way of preparing for home place, where all that is bitter and all that is sweet are replaced with something far greater. Following the path out of the valley of the Tenderlands, Companion and Traveler walked in silence for some time. Perhaps Traveler was instinctively gathering her resources for the last climb ahead. After a time, Traveler began once again to notice the terrain around her. They had left the valley and begun to climb. There were sharp rocks by the side of the path. The vegetation was sparse and the air hummed with the relentless buzz of small insects. The mountain cast a huge shadow over their path, chilling the air. Even though the air was dank and dark in the shadow of the mountain, when Traveler looked up, she could see the light glowing from the city above. She was closer now, and could make out a gate of some kind and see that the city was far greater than she had at first thought.
Oh, I'm almost there, for surely that is home place.
Yes, there on that mountain is the place your heart has yearned for. It is within reach.
Overwhelmed, Traveler sat down beside the path to ponder her position. This is what she had longed for, what her journey was all about. She remembered back to the early days when she thought she knew where she was going. She remembered leaving familiar trail, the road her family had traveled. She remembered meeting Challenger on the road of new beginnings and then leaving his group on the road of uncertainty. She thought, too, of the time she had started on the road of good intentions. She recalled the beauty of the little narrow gate in Long Look Mountain. She remembered with some sadness the voluntary passengers in the city of rest, and wished they could see what she could see now, looking up to the top of the mountain. She shuddered when she remembered the forest of fears and the pit of temptation, and then smiled when she recalled Companion's unselfish assistance in facing them with her. And last, she shed a small tear in remembrance of Challenger and the others in the Tenderlands. She surely hoped to meet them again in the home place. Yes, here she was, finally, all of her experiences having brought her to the very foot of the home place.
It is good, dear traveler, that you remember these things. Your tender heart will serve you well, but only if you combine it with the guidance from the home place. From now on, always keep your ears open to its leading, your eyes open to its vision, and your arms and legs willing to do its bidding. At this moment, you're still not at the home place. You have traveled well, but like each and every pilgrim on this voyage, you must use your newfound strength to traverse your own last great mountain. No two mountains are alike, and yours has not been climbed by any other pilgrim. Rely on your heart to guide you. When you are so tired that you feel you have reached the end and cannot go on, remember this moment when we sat in peace.
Companion's words encouraged Traveler, and she felt ready to proceed. She studied the path, which wound its way to a cliff, and there seemed, could it be so, to proceed straight up. Trees actually grew out of that perpendicular rock, making it appear as if the land around them had been turned on its side.
Is this the only way?
Companion nodded, a comforting nod. And Traveler began up the path to the place where the cliff rose. Step after step, grip after grip, she ascended. As she climbed, the sky grew overcast and a thick mist once again surrounded her. Was Companion with her as he said he would always be? She took strength from the thought that he was near, even though she could neither see nor hear him. At times, she felt like she was going backward, not up. So steep was the angle of the path. Yet up she went, upward, upward, upward. Her muscles screamed for release. Her fingers grew numb. She began to doubt she had found the right path. The incessant wind, which blew just as hard as it had in the Forest of Fears. It seemed intent on keeping her from reaching the pinnacle. She gripped the branches of perseverance which grew out of the side of the mountain and held on for dear life as she pulled herself up. As she rose higher, the branches came fewer and farther between. Only halfway up the mountain at this point, Traveler saw no way her endurance would last long enough for her to reach the top. She saw no place to rest, and her grip was slipping. The wind grew even stronger, rising to such a pitch she couldn't even hear herself think, let alone talk. It took all her resolve just to hang on, never mind climbing. But climb she must, and so she did, hand over hand, finding tiny toe holes as she went. And she might have succeeded in her frontal assault on her own last great mountain, too, had it not been for that one spiny small creature. She reached into a crevice, bound to drag herself up farther this time, and snap! It stung her. With a scream of shock, she lost her grip and fell one last time, backward down the mountain, her body battered by the jagged rocks, rolling over and over until she landed at last 50 feet below. Spinning into incredible pain, fear, and surprise, Traveler lay there. She tried to open her eyes, but the fear of what she might see kept them shut. Companion, have you forsaken me?
A cloud without color close the dawn as I cling to my earnest resolve, with faltering footsteps and fire in my heart, I fight to stand up when I fall. Though the drone of defeat drums a deafening roar and mocks each advance that I make, I refuse to retire or relinquish my hold on the righteousness I undertake. I'm a pilgrim of heaven, this world's not my own. I may walk by myself, but I'm never alone. No place to lay my head like my Lord who came before. Though the birds have their nest, I have nowhere to rest, and there is no place, to lay my head like my Lord. Though the birds have their nest, I have nowhere to rest, and there is no place to lay my
Companion. Companion, have you forsaken me?
Open your eyes, traveler.
His voice came from nearby, and open them she did to the most amazing sight of her long journey. Where she had fallen, a path had been carved out of the rock, and beside it was another path, carved even more deeply into the rock.
How can this be? I seem to have made a path by falling. But where did the other path come from? You told me that no other pilgrim had climbed this particular mountain.
I have gone before you.
The realization hit Traveler with great power. Companion had actually gone before her on her own last great mountain. Not only was he always with her, but he had experienced every last thing she had. The same pain and suffering, the frequent wandering, the tired mind, the aching muscles, the tears of hurt, even the pit of temptation. Traveler finally saw that this was a relationship that knew no bounds of time or place or circumstance. He was a tower of strength, a giver of life, her companion.
He has done it.
She doubted she could go on, even on the newly made path. And that's when she remembered Companion's words.
When you are so tired that you feel you have reached the end and cannot continue, remember this moment.
As Traveler remembered, she found strength to go on. She arose. She placed her hand on the new path and began to climb. The ascent went quickly. Steps appeared in the rock whenever she needed them. Soon Traveler reached the summit and with one last pull, found herself once again kneeling at the feet of Companion.
Welcome, dear traveler, to home place. I bring you love, and I wish you peace.
Home place. Home place. The ultimate destination of Le Voyage. Reached at last. Traveler, seeker of truth, had found the ultimate truth. Now nothing else mattered. Traveler raised her head slowly to the quintessence of beauty around her. A golden hue bathed the whole place in light, the likes of which she'd never seen. And there was music, elegant, joyful music, such as her ears had never heard. Giant pillars of alabaster stood at an entrance some little way off. However, the majesty of her surroundings was no match for the love shining in Companion's eyes. Traveler felt stronger and more joyful under his gaze than she ever had before. Slowly she rose and took his hand. As they walked forward on the new path, now alive with color and beauty, they came once again upon the little narrow gate, its door still resting open. This time, however, it led directly to the home place and new life. How precious it looked. With one last deep breath and a gentle squeeze of Companion's hand, Traveler walked through. Behind them, an unseen hand quietly closed the gate. As they came closer to the pillars at the main gate, Traveler could read the sign mounted on the main entrance. It read simply, "Vive le voyage." The journey lives on. We are all travelers, of course, in one way or another. Travelers in this land called simply life. The adventure of the journey comes not just from reaching the ultimate end, but also in the traveling itself, the pilgrimage, the journey, le voyage. None of us knows where our journey will lead or when it will end. None of us knows what the home place will look like. All we know and all we need to know is that we have a faithful companion to lead us there. Home place truly does exist, and in it, a place waits for each of us, fellow traveler. I've always loved stories. I love to hear them, read them, watch them, and tell them. Although I began writing this book through the eyes of Traveler, it quickly became my own story. My hope and heart's desire is that you will also see yourself. The journey is as much or as little as you want it to be. Know that your companion and the home place are always, always waiting for you.
There's a hand on my shoulder. Through the storm, however it blows. There's a hand on my shoulder. Stays with me wherever I go.
This has been Le Voyage, featuring Bonnie Keene, Mark Lowry, Dean Arvidson, Matt Baugher, Todd Chapman, Sissy Goff, and Sandi Patty. Based on an original story by Bob Farrell and Greg Nelson, Le Voyage was written by Sandi Patty and Matt Baugher. Adapted for radio by Todd Chapman and produced by Chris Blizzard. Executive producers Matt Baugher, Mark Campbell, and Jerry Drummond. This has been a Third Coast Media production. Copyright 1993.